Today we're checking out the Saramonic SR-MV7000 multi-pattern XLR and USB condenser microphone. Let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. So today we're checking out this behemoth of a microphone. This is the SR-MV7000 multi-pattern USB and XLR microphone. Now, one of the cool things about this is I also have a Blue Yeti back there, which we're going to compare it against. One of the cool things about this microphone is it can work not only directly to a computer thanks to the USB, but it can also work to an audio interface. So I'm going to test this in a number of different ways, and I'll time code everything in the description below. So just to let you know, Saramonic sent this out for the review. I didn't actually purchase it. They haven't paid me in addition to say anything about this. They're not seeing the video before its release. This means all the stuff that I say about this microphone will be from my own experience. I own about 30 different microphones that I've paid for. I've had the Blue Yeti for about 5 years, and I can't wait to see just how this stacks up. Here we go. Firstly, let's see what we get in the box. We get some stickers and instruction manuals. We get a USB-C cable. We get a USB-A to USB-C cable. And we also get a stereo XLR connector. It's great that they've included one of these in the box. All right, so here's the star of the show. Check out this beast. Whew, man, it looks good. Oh, wow. So very much like the Blue Yeti, it has a collapsible design, so you can, transport it easier. You can just basically flip it open like this, and you'll be in business. On the side of the microphone, to get it to stand upright or in any configuration you choose, you can simply tighten it on the sides here, and then you're good to go. It feels extremely sturdy already, which is fantastic. And this is actually for the pop filter, so I've got to loosen this again. Oh yeah, all right. Very cool, very cool. So this will just clip in over here, and that's how that works. Right now though, I'm gonna leave this off just so I can show you a little bit about this mic. Let's take a look at the front of the microphone now, and we have a whole lot of really cool options. We have a mute control on the front, which will mute the microphone from picking up any audio. We have a volume control on the front as well, which controls the volume of the headphones, which you can plug in on the bottom of the mic. Now we also get a few other options as well, including this gain button, which will increase the gain of the microphone anywhere from 0 dB, which is neutral, all the way up to 10, 20, and 30 plus dB. So it's going to add a whole lot more gain to the microphone. So if you're recording something very quietly and you need a little bit of extra gain on the mic, you have that button there, which is pretty awesome. Now we also get a low cut button, which is a high pass filter. This will take out the low end to stop any rumble you might experience if you're on a table, say, and you're knocking it with your arms. Something like that, it will help reduce those sort of low end booms that can be picked up by the microphone. But this actually feels pretty solid, so we'll see if that's actually even an issue. Taking a look at the polar pattern button, we get 4 different polar patterns: cardioid, omnidirectional, stereo, and bidirectional. These are great depending on your needs. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in this video. If you want to connect this microphone directly to the computer, use the provided USB cable out of this port here directly to whatever computer you've got, and you'll be in business. We also get an XLR port as well, so you can plug in an XLR cable, go to the sound card, and then straight into your computer that way. That's pretty cool that it does both. We also get that headphone out jack, as I showed you before. Let's quickly cover some of the important specs, but I'll leave some more information on screen. I just wanted to cover some of the basics. This is a condenser microphone, so it does require phantom power or a power source. If you're plugging it directly into the computer, it won't require any additional power. If you're using it with an external sound card, your sound card will need to have a phantom power button. It will also be known as plus 48 volts. One of the cool things about the Saramonic microphone is the fact it can capture 20 Hz to 20 kHz, which is the entire spectrum of human hearing. Most good condenser microphones with this sort of format do that as well. In terms of the bitrate and audio quality, this will do 16-bit or 24-bit. It has a sampling rate of 44.1 kHz all the way up to 192 kHz, which is insanely high. So you can also plug this directly into an audio interface and set the sampling rate to whatever you like within your recording software or audio interface drivers. So one of the great things about this is this microphone, unlike a lot of others, has a higher sampling rate than what I'm used to seeing on most USB mics. Now, in terms of the weight, it comes in at 1.2 kilograms, which is 2.7 pounds. So it's not overly heavy, but it has a bit of weight behind it, and I love the fact it's as sturdy as it is. It really feels great and nice and secure on the table. So let's set this up and see how it sounds. The first test will be the USB audio test, and then we'll go over to the audio interface. Here we go. So as soon as I plug the microphone in, it lit up, which is great. We can change the polar patterns like this. I'm gonna start on the cardioid polar pattern, which is the best one when you're doing a solo podcast, or if you just wanna talk or do a voiceover directly straight into the microphone's front. You don't want sound coming in from everywhere. I've got a fridge over there. You don't want that kind of stuff getting picked up on the mic. So I'm just gonna tighten this up a little bit now. And yeah, I love the fact it just works with the Mac. That's awesome. Right now you're listening to the Saramonic SR-MV700. I'm speaking at about the same volume I was before with my shirt microphone, my Rode Lav mic, and we're gonna see how it sounds. I just did a quick test off camera just to see if it all was recording properly and how the audio levels were and all that kind of stuff. I think it sounds really, really nice just as a USB device. This is by far one of the best ones I've had a chance to review on this channel or even on my other channel over the years as well. Now we will compare this to the Blue Yeti in just a moment, but I thought I'd show you some of the different gain settings as well. Now being that I've got a fairly loud voice, I'm gonna drop my voice and turn up the gain on the microphone to the next level. Now I found I was clipping it as soon as I changed over just before off camera, so hopefully I'm going to try my best not to speak too loudly right now. So this is at 0 dB gain on cardioid polar pattern mode, and this is plus 10, so I'm speaking at about 50% of the volume that you just heard. The wind's kicked up outside, so I'm not sure if you can hear that over my voice or not, but yeah, this is at the plus 10 dB, and it doesn't look like it's clipping, which is good, but I have dropped my voice considerably. And now we're over to the 20 decibels of extra gain. There's very little audio coming out of my voice right now. It is whisper quiet. It's as whisper quiet as it can get without me actually whispering like this. So there's no real reason why you would probably want to set it any higher than 0 dB just for typical podcast use or voiceover application unless you were whispering. If you're going to be doing some really quiet stuff or recording some sound samples, sure, crank it up to a different gain level if you so choose. I think it's a slight disadvantage though over the Blue Yeti, which has a tangible gain control that will allow you to adjust it to the right level for you. But I love the fact you can set it to 0, which is flat, and get a really great sound. So it sort of takes the complication out of setting the gain system up on the mic. You just set it to 0, talk, and you're not going to clip. Even if I talk loudly, I'm not even getting close to clipping the microphone at 0 dB, and you can always raise that up in post. So let me know what you think of the audio quality of this microphone without any post-processing. Odds are I've boosted this up in post just a little bit volume-wise, but not added any other effects. We're going to add some extra effects to it in just a moment, but firstly what I want to do is test this out as an actual microphone to a USB audio device. So let's do that now, and then we'll do the comparison between the Blue Yeti. Right now we're checking out the microphone going through my Steinberg UR22 MK2 audio interface. This opens up some more flexibility in terms of real-time audio monitoring. I got my headphones on, I've got my headphones plugged into my audio interface, and I can hear everything in real time as it's the analog signal going in. Now, interestingly enough, I went to plug in the XLR cable. I was like, oh, it didn't fit. So the provided stereo XLR cable has actually got an extra couple of pins on there. So you need to plug that in and then plug your XLR cable into it and then into your audio interface. So I'm glad Saramonic have included that. If you're going to be taking this microphone out to record somewhere out of the house, make sure you've got that cable if you're going to be using it in XLR mode. Now, in terms of the audio quality, I think this sounds spectacular. I've got so many different condenser microphones that I use for voiceover and recording vocals and all kinds of stuff, and this sounds really nice to my ear. One of the clear advantages of running it like this as well is the fact that you can set the gain through your audio interface and just leave the microphone set to 0 dB. I've tried running it the other way with my gain on the audio interface down and boosting up the microphone gain. It just doesn't sound as clean or as nice as doing it this way. So leave your microphone set to 0, set up your audio interface the way that sounds good for your voice, and you're laughing. Up next, we're going to check out the polar patterns as well as the handling noise. So we're in cardioid polar pattern. Let's pick this up. There is some handling noise there, but it's not too bad considering it's a condenser mic. Now, if we turn it around to 90 degrees, my voice should drop out. I can definitely hear that. Turn it all the way to 180 degrees. You shouldn't be hearing too much of my voice. Around to the other 90 degrees. And we're going to put this back to facing forward. Now, being that there is a bit of handling noise on this microphone, it's also going to pick up some desk noise, but check this out. There's that low end rumble coming through. And now with a low cut. So that works a treat. If you're going to be tapping your fingers or whatever on the table and you don't want to pick up any of that low end rumble, that low cut definitely works in that situation. So yeah, the cardioid polar pattern mode still works pretty well also, but being that it's a condenser microphone, inherently these do pick up a whole lot more ambient noise than say a dynamic mic. I've just put the microphone back into USB cable mode and I'm recording in stereo. So we're still in cardioid polar pattern, which means it's picking up the sound from the front. Let's switch it up now. And now this next one is the circle. This allows sound to be picked up from everywhere. So if I turn the microphone around, it shouldn't really matter which way the microphone is positioned. It should still be hearing my voice really well as I tangle up the USB cable. So yeah, this is one of those modes that will work well if you've got, say, someone else or a few other people in the room. You can plonk the microphone in the center of the table and have everyone talk. It would be great for a group podcast, just to be able to pick up sound from all around it. Up next, we've got stereo mode. Now, stereo mode is a whole lot of fun, and this will be perfect for any live music or doing anything that requires a stereo soundscape. Even if you're going to be recording acoustic guitar, this can work well as you'll capture more of the guitar than you will in just cardioid mode. So as you can probably hear, it's going to be panning between left and right in your headphones if you're listening with headphones. So yeah, stereo mode is very, very useful for the right application. Now, if you're going to be recording something like a sit-down podcast with someone else in the room, bidirectional mode will work extremely well. It also means that the back of the microphone is going to be just as sensitive as the front, kind of like cardioid polar pattern mode, except you're going to be using both sides of the mic, which I've got it in right now. So if I turn this around, odds are it's still going to sound great from behind, just as it did from the front. So a two-person podcast, put this in the middle of both of you facing it, obviously, so someone will be facing the opposite way, and you'll get some really good results. And lastly, I wanted to do a quick audio comparison between the Saramonic SR-MV700 microphone up against the Blue Yeti. I've got the microphone just going directly into the computer now via the USB cable. And now over to one of the most legendary microphones of all time, the Blue Yeti microphone. I say legendary because yes, it's old. This one I've had for over 5.5 years and it's still going strong. I'm really interested to see how this compares up against the Saramonic because I really liked what I was hearing against the Saramonic. We'll switch back and back to the Saramonic SR-MV7000 microphone and back to the Blue Yeti microphone. So I'm going to switch back to the Saramonic. I haven't heard these back yet, so I'm going to do that off camera and give you my final thoughts. But before we do that, I'm going to just add a little bit of post-processing to this. So if you're going to be, say, recording a podcast and you want to add a little bit of extra low end or an expander or a compressor or anything like that, that's what you're listening to right now. And I'll turn it all off so you can hear it again flat and all back on so you can hear it with some post-processing. After listening to the audio samples recorded with the Saramonic SR-MV7000 and the Blue Yeti microphone, what was the verdict? I think they both sound great. This sounds really, really good, and it's a very similar microphone to the Blue Yeti with a couple of upgrades and a couple of things that you might want to take into account. So the first thing I love about this is it's not only a USB microphone, but it's an XLR microphone. This will open up a world of possibilities for different people in different situations, whether you're a musician or whether you're just doing a podcast. This will make that really easy. It's a great portable microphone that can work in a sound card or on its own directly to a computer without any problems, and the audio quality was fine. One of the things about the Saramonic is it has a lot more low end, at least to my ear, than the Blue Yeti. The only small downside of the Saramonic is you can't monitor your audio in real time. The headphone jack is for playback only. Not being able to monitor your audio in real time, it's hard to know if you're getting any plosives or any, if you're knocking the table and any of those are getting through. I love the low cut. Although it doesn't sound great when you enable it, it can be very, very handy in the right type of situation. If you've got a really noisy table and you're moving, say, even if you've got a drink on the table, you're clunking it up and down or whatever, the sounds of that won't come through anywhere near as much with that low cut on. So that's a clear advantage there. In terms of the polar patterns, it has everything that you could possibly need. I love the fact that it's got that stereo mode, so if I was to take this to say a jam night and I had my computer there, I could stream to YouTube and get a stereo soundscape of the room really simply. So I really like that, and if you're in a two-person podcast and someone's across the table from you, you can set the mode accordingly on the microphone to give you that. So it's very similar to that of the Blue Yeti in those regards. But I love the fact that it's just nice and compact and it's built well. The build quality is extremely good. I love the fact it comes with all the accessories and cables you could possibly need to plug it in and to get going. So Saramonic are great. I've had a number of their things over the years that I bought and they've always been really good, especially their on-camera audio mixers. I love those things. I've actually got one more of their products coming up on the channel, so if you're not already subscribed, please do so. I'll leave links and prices and all this in the description. Prices of stuff always changes, so I don't mention it in the video, but I'll leave some stuff in the description so you can go through and check it out. So a massive thank you to Saramonic for sending this out for the review. I really appreciate it. It's been a while since I've done a microphone review on the channel, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did. Thanks again. Catch you soon. See ya.